Morning Wood, the
Listen
very...
to that.
It's not traffic, that's the ocean.
So what I was going to say was maybe there's some sort of the fog. It's very foggy, as you can see behind us. Maybe there's like an acoustical, where you're in the Capitol Rotunda and you whisper over 100 yards away in the corner, and the way it bounces off everything, it holds the sound right. I think we've got some sort of acoustical.
So you think this is going to be the perfect storm for acoustics? Like we're going to sound better than ever?
I think actually anybody on the beach right now can hear me. Wow, you look really hot.
Oh, look at
the
sun.
And the sun.
Wow.
Well,
you can actually look at it.
We need to do this. We can do this. Look at the sun peeking through the. Can you see it? Yes. Oh yeah.
Answer us, please.
That's so cool. A very, very.
Oh, I like it that way. That's
really
good. Yeah. I lost him in the mist. Oh, that's good. Hey, you positioned nice.
Wow.
Wow, you know what? That is a better position.
A better position.
We're going to be doing that again.
But I'm pissed this morning. I never do a rant.
What? Why are you pissed?
Well, I really.
Oh, that's right, the Hollywood thing. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't give a shit about Hollywood, except if your name is Megan Fox or Diane Lane or Tom Hanks.
Wow, that's... Okay, continue.
I admire the hell out of Tom Hanks as an actor, and he's an A's fan too. So
he's our generation's Jimmy Stewart.
His first job was hawking peanuts at Oakland Coliseum.
That's why you like him.
But no, I actually...
Not because he's hot.
No, I just... Google it. I don't care about the Academy Awards, but I think it's going to affect the way movies are going to be written. They're putting quotas, and they're forcing everybody into wokeness with the Academy Awards now and making movies. You're not going to qualify if you don't woke up.
So you have to have a certain percentage of...
Yeah, it's going to be a quota thing. If the characters, if some of the main, there's like some percentages and this and that, it's a real formula. Don't include one of the minority classes of either race or sexual identity and all that stuff, then you're not even going to be qualified. And I'm okay with, I get that they've been shunned, certain classes have been shunned out of Hollywood. I get that, and I appreciate that. But how is a movie like 1917, for instance? Did you ever see that movie?
No, but I have to see it.
It's a great flick, but it's a story. The two main individuals in that story, I think it was a real story. But one of these real stories where how do you make a character a different ethnicity than the real story that it was? Other than Jesus. I don't mind a black Jesus, because I think that's probably a little bit more the truth, Because that kind of stuff I'd be okay with, because no one really knew. But if it truly was about Amelia Earhart, and all of a sudden now she's got to be a lesbian, well, she might have been, actually.
I'll go see it.
What did she do in that cockpit? And by the way, can we play on the word cockpit a little bit? With a lesbian, I don't know if that would work out, though. You know that there are lesbians out there on AFF that say, I just want cock. It's like they have a thing because they're so lesbian, they haven't experienced.
Oh, really?
So they have a fantasy. I'm not changing my preference, but I gotta feel a cock.
Are you targeting
a
them?
cock inside me? No, I'm not. Because typically they're a little bit on the butchy side, and I'm not. They're not the hot.
They've got. They're sex bots.
But I don't mind being used just for my cock. Is my point. And if it has to be a hot lesbian, no, one for the team. I'm sorry.
See how easily you get... No, it's actually better than your rant. I like it.
Yeah, I know. I talk about hot lesbians.
I have mixed feelings about that. You're the first time... I mean, the first time I've been hearing about this is from you.
Breaking news.
But I will say, it happens all the time that, they change, especially supporting characters, making it, a different ethnicity than maybe... I mean, the truth never stays the truth in a Hollywood film. I mean, it's always done to suit the needs of the movie.
It's a good point in that, it's never pure, but it's going to be less pure if you're stifling a writer's creative sense, not even in writing a movie, in thinking about the movie they're going to write, that they now have to put it through a filter. It will cut. And I'm going to flip it around. What about Amadeus, which I think was a great flick? Or or even
He should have been a lesbian.
or
Totally.
no, wrong Amadeus. The all African American about the plight of a certain
Oh, I'm
slave.
thinking of that
I know,
movie.
Mozart. You mean Mozart?
Yeah.
Well, Mozart
Well,
should have been black.
Oh,
right?
Amistad. It was.
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry. I'm so
It's like,
sorry.
I'm thinking, how can they have the same name?
Amistad. What? Wow. See, there's my latent racism coming out right now. I couldn't even get the movie about African Americans right, and I deeply apologize.
Still wish there was lesbians.
Cancel me. Well, on those ships coming over, don't think they didn't provide some sort
Don't
of
think.
entertainment.
Here we go. Now he's the historian. He goes from ranting to perv to historian.
Okay, I will say this.
I love that.
One of my clients in years past was in the Hollywood scene, and he was writing a script about the true African American story, and I do not think it's been written yet. Amistad, I got it right that time. It was a good flick, but it didn't. It was kind of
Isn't that
singular.
Steven Spielberg?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say yes to anything now because I'm gonna find out. But and I'm not a big fan of the 1619.
His wife's a lesbian, you know. No, I'm just kidding. I just wanted
Did
to
he
throw a
did he
lesbian
convert
thing
her?
in. Yeah.
She was that hot blonde though that was in the second Raiders. They've been around for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Pretty
Yeah.
blonde.
Yeah. You got me again.
I got you.
How did you do that? It's
Anyway,
close.
this was an important point.
Yes. Go ahead. Go. Yes.
Go visit Jamestown and that whole history of the U.S. and there's absolute truth to we're not giving enough credit to African Americans on what they meant to this country and the birth of our country. Now, I'm not ready to go into the 1619 thing that they've got going on that they want to promote, but I think we can blur the lines a little bit that they were extremely part of our fabric that has not been told enough.
Oh my. Well, yeah. And
And
still are.
that story, that movie is still out there. That
Yeah.
movie, I think, whether it involves, I know Roots did some of that as a show, showing the plight, and there's bits and pieces, but a movie that actually told that story, I do think is out there. Okay, my
Yes.
point is,
Yes.
how would you then woke that movie by introducing, if it's all about African Americans, how do you introduce white people into an all African? How would a white people be introduced into
Blackface is still wrong, right?
Well, what about whiteface? Can a black person wear a white face?
Well,
Michael Jackson.
there's probably going to be movies you can point out that, I mean, just like movies aren't going to be the same now that COVID is here. I mean, what are movies going to be like going forward in that regard as well? And I don't want to blur the issue or take away from what you're saying, but I don't have a problem. I mean, I don't like the mandating, but unfortunately, we live in a world or a society where we can see it now. I mean, there is still racism in this world, at least in this country, and it's amazing how ugly it is. And I think that, movie studios are still run by white people for the most part. And they are still making decisions, not just for race, but for gender. Even though, for decades I've been reading, a movie will do really well and it's got a female lead, or it's got an ethnic lead. And you would think that would open up the arena, because it has been proven that those movies can sell. They can carry, those actors can carry a film. And yet, you still go back to the tried and true formula. You're still hearing about, how limited the number of opportunities there are for ethnic actors.
Everything you say, I respect and I agree with in theory, but I'm surprised that you went in the direction you did, given the fact that, don't you think it's bullshit that the Academy is putting it on the, what's the proletariat? What's the one that are there's the elite and then there's the proletariat? Who's the
proletariat? I think is the
They're putting it on the people, the blue collar workers for the most part, 90% of which make movies. it's not the, you hear about all the actors on, but there's so many behind the scenes. Now they're putting it on them to fix it. How about the Academy fixing the way they look at a film and take all the filters off of that? And they're almost blaming the writers and the directors and the producers of the film for what's being put out, as opposed to putting a mirror in front of their face and saying, maybe you should be looking at films the way they're made without all the filters. And you said it just right there, that there's been prejudices in movies for years. Well, that's because of the Academy looking at it and the people voting it, not on material that's coming forward. There's plenty of films that have said, how come so-and-so didn't get a
I
Best
agree.
Actor
You're
nod?
right.
So why did they put it on the person
Well,
writing
because
it?
they're trying to broaden that up. I mean, they've been working on that for the last few years, broadening the number of people who do have a vote and a say in the Academy Awards. But for the most part, it was, rich white people.
I think you can fix that at the
Well,
selection
yeah,
level,
well-
not at the production level.
Well,
And there saith, all I have, you can take it home, Bobby.
Well, we're at 11
I know,
minutes, but
though.
all I want to say is life is not fair. Sometimes you have to do things like that because we live in a society with lots of people and we have societal rules that we make, and it takes a long time to break those societal rules, even if society is changing at a faster pace and those rules are being broken. And, I'll relate it to COVID, what we're going through right now. If we didn't have governments and nations that weren't so fucked up, that weren't reading the signs and doing things to prepare for this, that's why we have governments, to protect us. At least one aspect of government. And the ball was dropped, and so it's been on us to wear the mask and do the social distancing. I mean, we as regular people have had to take on the burden of what, and I'm not saying that if they would have been prepared better, what kind of change what difference that would have made. I don't think we'd be having to wear masks as much as we're wearing them. But, life isn't fair. And sometimes you gotta do things to make it fair that are outside of just letting nature take its course.
And I'll end on this note. In the future, less wokeness, more lesbians.
Here,
Morningwood.
yeah, I'll cheer to that. Well, if they can be bi, so we have an opportunity with them.
I didn't realize how far away we were. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Less us, more you.
Okay, bye, Morningwood. Ooh, that's a